Okay, alright. Continuing on with the holiday movies for this flashback review. And what better way to kick things off than talk about a movie that did not even come out during the holidays. In fact, this film came out in May of 1960. However, Disney seems to made it their business to always release this film on their cable channel or on television, for that matter, during the holiday seasons, November, December. Of course, I've saw this film countless times during the holiday season, November, December. My first experience of this film was in 1996 when Disney had a special holiday free for all on cable, and this was one of the movies that caught my attention. And when it caught my attention, I was at awe with the movie. This film came out a couple of times during the holiday season, just a couple of times in November and December. And surprisingly, as this film gets older, this film gets more and more popular. This is amongst one of the top 10 greatest live action Disney family films that was ever released. This is the movie that launches Haley Mills' career. It was her first American premiere film, and I say first American film because she was actually in another film called Tiger Bay, but it was only released in the UK. But this movie, this single movie, single-handedly gave her recognition that she went on to star in other Disney films, some more recognizable films such as The Parent Trap and That Darn Cat. And the movie I'm talking about is Pollyanna. This is a film, basically, you have to really, me describing this film won't do any justice. You have to really see this film. If Disney has a chance on their schedule and they showing it on their channel, you know, sit your daughter and son down and have them watch this film. It's a very wholesome film. It's a very, very good film. More powerful than I actually even expected. This was the movie that actually prompted me to search for the book. And at the time, the book, nobody had the rights to the book. The book was almost in public domain. It was extremely hard to find. I had to go to a rare antique shop to get the first book. And needless to say, I don't regret it because the book is very, very well done. Yet, as I speak to you, as you all know, the movie doesn't always follow the book. In this case, they completely flipped the script on the movie, that it almost bears no resemblance to the work of Eleanor H. Porter, the author who written Pollyanna in 1913. However, I got to say that was actually a blessing in disguise because after reading the book in its entirety, after really sitting down and reading it and understand what it was trying to say, I can safely tell you that they made the right call in terms of changing a few things to make this film at that time more modern to what is going on. Basically, the movie was done like an act. There's two acts to this film. The first act pretty much introducing us to Pollyanna, which was played brilliantly by Haley Mills. She's just came into town after losing her parents. Didn't tell you what their parents have died of, but you know that she lost her parents, and she's now living with her Aunt Polly. Basically, you are having her interact with the townsfolk. You're getting to know them. You're getting to know Pollyanna. You're getting to know Aunt Polly, which is very stern and very caught up into her image of maintaining a certain reputation in the town, where she feels that people look for them to uphold a certain position, such as making sure things run in orderly, make sure that things go right, make sure that the sermons are good. Basically, she's a control freak, and she feels because it's her duty to do so, she has basically isolated town to the point where they're just basically miserable. She's played brilliantly, though. By the way, I actually enjoyed that character to a large degree, but I actually enjoyed the whole entire cast in general. And in her, you get the feel that she's a control nut, and she plays it very well. Gene Wildman had done a great job. Jane Wildman had done a great job has portraying this character, and it's such a different character than what I'm used to seeing in the book. Because in the book, she does preach the word of duty, but it's more to herself, not to the whole community. And this one, it is basically she has a duty and she's going to do it whether you want her to or not, whether you like it or not. And at this time, she becomes very isolated, and people don't have a good feeling about it because to them, they feel that she's giving false charities, and she's basically holding up progress. And that's what you got from this film, and that's is shown very much, pretty much throughout the first half. The sermon with is pretty much her idea that you need to tell them that you need to bring fear and fire and brimstone to let them know that this is going to happen if you turn a dangerous leaf. Basically controlling the mills and even controlling the way politics works. They got a mayor, but nobody listened to him because the person who's really in charge is Polly Harrington. But all that changed in the second half, and this is what happens. The second half, the situation of a rise. The orphanage is pretty much old and deteriorating to the point where even the pipes are now exploding, and it has gotten pretty much bad, whereas people know that the orphanage is not suitable enough for for those children to live, and so they want to come up with a way to fix that. Because the building was donated by Polly Harrington's father, she doesn't want to see that building closed down. She's willing to pay for the fixing and do all the other stuff that's necessary because she feels that's her duty, that's her responsibility, and she's not backing away from that. You got a mayor who's saying no, we need to put a new building up. We can't continue to that building is crumbling down. We got to get a new building up, and so there's that conference, and that's actually sets up another story and how Pollyanna plays a role, because Pollyanna wants to get involved in helping for the orphanage, and how she found this out is because the mayor got people together and said we need to fix this problem and raise some money, and so the idea of a bazaar to raise the money have came to light. Pollyanna is trying to get everybody together, has gotten people together, but as you all know, Polly's not going for that. She feels that the town is going against her. They feel that that they're doing this to be in spite of her. So there's a bit of paranoia going on with Polly. And when she heard her niece go down, she not only forbids him not to take part of the bazaar, but pretty much say, "I don't want to see those people anymore." So she's basically isolating her own niece for her own protection. And it really does show that she really doesn't really trust anyone, or doesn't really feel that their interest suits her political needs. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but you got to really look at the movie to understand where it's coming from. It's a lot of political overtones, but it's not enough where you get turned off by it. It's just that here she is. She feels she needs to do a lot of things, and if she's not involved in that, it's not a good idea. That's the big thing about her. It's basically control. She doesn't know how to give up control or share power. That's where you get from her, and it's shown very well by the actress, by the way, in this film. Again, of course, things did not. She can't stop progress. Pollyanna was able to talk to Reverend Ford, and their interactions has gotten Reverend Ford to convince that this is I was wrong for basically blasting everybody, and he also said that gave his blessing about the bazaar, which got everybody involved, including Pollyanna at one time, singing America, America, God share His grace on me. It was in the movie, and I will talk about that a little bit later, because I do have something to say about that. Overall, they didn't change Polly Harrington's mind. She tried to stop her niece from going there. She said she couldn't let her. she snuck out with Jimmy Bean, who is one of the main characters, and their interaction with each other I actually kind of liked. It's pretty much like I like you, but I'm not going to tell you. Instead, I'm just going to, insult you. And one of the things I did enjoy about that is that it didn't make Pollyanna a little Miss Know-It-All. She does have flaws, even though she's like the central character, and she's supposed to be preaching the Glad game and how it's supposed to help people. There is some flaws to her that makes her more of a kid than someone who's pretending to be a kid but actually is trying to be a grown up. We've seen movies like that before where the roles get reversed, where the kids play the adults and the adults play the kids. And this one, it's pretty much nipped that. And this is again largely due to the changes they made with this movie. In the end, she snucks out, joined the bazaar. Everybody's having a good time. Everybody's enjoying stuff. However, tragedy almost hit the town when Pollyanna climbs back up to the tree back to her little room, which was all the way up in the attic. She made it, but she tried to get the doll from the roof, and that ended up, as she was trying to reach, she lost her grip and she fell. That scene was very scary. I was like cringing when I saw the scene, because I think me and a lot of other people were saying, just leave the doll, just go in the room, just leave the doll. But she fell, and her scream was just horrifying. Just hearing it on the television set, I can only imagine what it sounded like on the big screen. In any case, she lived, but she ended up getting paralyzed. And that pretty much sums up how what happened. She finds out about it. She's gloomy and everything else. But it wasn't until the townsfolk who heard news about the accident came, and it was probably the weirdest scene in this movie. And I'll explain a little bit more, because this is a scene that I don't know. I think they went a little overboard with this scene to cheer her up. It was, if you see the ending, it's like, wow, they really outdone themselves in this movie. But in any case, it was a warm, sad ending. Is it an ending that it was actually open to a sequel? I'm pretty much convinced it was open up to a sequel that never happened, and I'll explain that because it was evidence why it didn't happen. This is a wonderful film, guys. There's no other way to put it. You really seriously have to see this film to understand. And I know this film, a lot of people hear the word Pollyanna, they say, oh, it's a girl's film, it's good. So you listen, from a guy's perspective, this is a very heartwarming movie. More heartwarming than I actually come to respect. I'm not a big fan, per se, of Walt Disney's live action films. Particularly, I think I selected one live action film in the 90s. Just one. A lot of live action film that came out in the 90s just irritated me. The remake with That Darn Cat, the Blank Check, those films just got on my nerves. But I give credit where credit's due. There are other films that Disney made that I just simply keep dear to me. Candle Shoe, Pollyanna, Parent Trap, Swiss Family Robinson. These are the films that I always enjoy seeing. And Pollyanna is amongst my top 5 favorites. I can never get old. This film never aged with me. This film constantly gets better and better every time I see it. The act, and that's largely because of a lot of stuff. They completely rechanged the story. This is pretty much all. If you read the book and expecting this to be just like the book or close to the book, don't even bother. I mean, this is a totally different story. It's being told totally differently. The ending is different from the book, and some of the characters has been removed from this from the movie that was in the book. A lot of characters have been renamed. John Pendergast was played very, very well in the movie. I forget the actor's name. I know he's very, very famous. Let's see if I can find the actor's name for you guys. He has a very, very, I believe his name is, there he is, Ordoff. Pendergast is made from Ordoff. I think he has a Russian name. That's probably why I don't remember it too much. But he played Pendergast well. But in the book, his name is Pendleton. The big difference between Pendergast and Pendleton. Nancy in the book was different than the Nancy that was played in the movie, because in the book she was already open to Pollyanna coming in. She was welcome. It's like that little sister she never had. Not so in the book. In this movie, she was pretty much she kept her distance to Pollyanna, and it wasn't until Pollyanna kept um her secret that she was seeing Fred, which was actually supposed to be Timothy in the book. That's when she became more friends because because she now realized, hey, she's not that bad, and they became pretty much friends in the throughout the rest of the film. So there's a lot of change in the movie. Dr. Chilton has changed a little bit. He was working in Baltimore. Uh, they didn't really mention where uh, in the movie he was working in Baltimore. I'm sorry, but in the book he lived in the town. He lived there, worked there for years. He also probably needs, when the accident happened, they moved her from the attic to a different bedroom. That happened long before the accident happened. The accident itself, she was hit by a car. And although earlier version, including the surprisingly, I believe 1913, the first Pollyanna movie, which was a silent film, had it. Disney had made their business. Even the BBC version had made their business not to show that. I think it was too dark or too graphic. Whatever. They didn't really show nothing in the book, but she got hit by a car. And this one, she fell off the roof. So they did a lot of changes. There was no bazaar. The book didn't focus on the bazaar. She was paralyzed a lot longer than what the movie has indicated. So there was a lot of changes, but most importantly, it was changes to Pollyanna. In the book, and this is the only flaw I think I have with the book, is she used the word glad a lot. She's very, very cheerful. She's almost to the point where you want to say, come on, girl, you're way too cheerful, you're way too annoying. But in the book, she's actually a lot younger. She's actually is a child in that book that really is still not aware of the other world that is out there. She's only aware of what her father is learning, and that's pretty much it. She still is not. She still doesn't have the foresight of what's really going on and how the world really works. Which is why I actually enjoyed the sequel, by the way. And by the way, I will be doing a reading review on that sequel very, very soon. Very great book. In this one, they tamed it. Again, like I said, they made her more of her age because Pollyanna, which was played by Haley Mills. Haley Mills, the actress, I believe was 13 years old, about to be 14. So to see her betray a child that is 8 years old, it would seem kind of awkward. So they made her age, and it worked. Because when I saw her, I said, this is what makes her very good. Because she played it, and she played it well. To the point where it wasn't preachy. She wasn't trying to preach she wasn't over the top of the preaching. It pretty much, you didn't want to strangle the kid because of the way she was acting. It was pretty much tame. And Haley Mills did a great job of keeping it tame. She had a little difficulty run. If you look at the behind the scenes, her father had to talk to her because I think she really didn't know how to play that part. But until her father talked to her, that I think she got more comfortable with that role. But I'm actually glad she did because she won an award for this film, and deservedly so. The characters. I think the characters were great. I think that was another thing that helped this film. They just didn't focus on Pollyanna, but they focused on everything that was going on in the town. You pretty much got a gist of what's happening, how Polly was, but most importantly, you got a feel of how the town was feeling, how they was acting with each other. And that was always important to me. I thought that was the main sticking point, that you saw everybody on screen and they had something to share on screen. It was not something that was wasted. I felt that everybody who's on that film, whether it's a big role or a small role, had played some very strong part that eventually came in full circle in the end. It was very, very well done. And I thought David Swift, who was the director of this film, the late David Swift, have done a fantastic job of screen time when it comes to that. The acting was A plus. I have nothing else to say. The acting was just as great. So what are the things I didn't like? I can't really say didn't like because I love this film so much. It's a four-star film for me, but it does come with a few question marks. It really, really does. The first thing is I might as well get this out the way. The American flag theme when she was singing "Oh Beautiful, Oh Greatest Sky, Forever Naces We," and she started singing "America, America." I don't know why they put that on that scene. The only reason, and I think that he said something. I think the director said something in the fact that hearing Haley Mills, who was a British actress, singing America the Beautiful, was something of a special moment. But I felt it was kind of just okay. Now we're aware this is an American film. We didn't really need that on the scene. It didn't add anything to the scene, and I'm like. Really? Do we really need to see the flag now? I'm a patriot too. I love this country, but come on now. Sometimes that becomes annoying, and that part it didn't really need there to be annoying. She wasn't even in the front of the line. She was like in the third kid that was lined up to make the flag, and it just was I didn't think they needed to do that. I really didn't think so. It was just a weird thing. Every time I see that scene, it's like, why? Really? You're really gonna go here? Yeah, but they decided to do it, and they decided to do it in the middle of the bazaar. Everything is going fine. They have to stop everything to show that one scene. That's why it was kind of weird. If it was done in the beginning, I probably would have just said, okay, whatever. They pledged allegiance and they kept going. But everything was already, everything's moving in full swing. Everybody's having a good time. Then everybody stopped what they're doing to hear "Oh Beautiful, Oh Great Sky," and it was just it didn't need to be there. It just didn't need to be there. They could add that whole scene out and just have her go right straight home. Another weird moment is when everybody came to send they get well, to show that she is loved, and that scene. Okay, and here's how I see it. Imagine you sitting down and you see all these people coming in with 5 dogs, a whole bunch of roses, a whole bunch of gifts. I literally counted, and this was the orphanage. These orphanage who was coming in in one line. There was a kid holding a dog. Someone was holding, I believe, a miniature stove, a couple of flowers, another dog. A couple of dolls, another dog. I mean, I tell you, if that was the gift, which I'm pretty sure it was, Pollyanna has about pretty much 5 dogs now. Where are these dogs coming from? I mean, my God, this is an orphanage. It's not even the other people. This is the orphanage coming in with dogs, flowers, miniature stoves, and God knows what all the stuff. I mean, I see the flowers. I can see where the flowers going to go because they do have a nice garden. But all these dogs, I'm like, wow, she's going to have a lot of pets. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but they definitely going to have a lot of pets there. So that was just one first scene. But in any case, it was just something that just says, really? They're going to give them all these pets? well, I guess they got the room. But that's just a nitpick. Overall, I enjoyed the film. It was very fun to watch. Now, I say this was a sequel bait for a reason, the way the film ended. The film had Pollyanna on a train heading towards Baltimore to do a surgery, which is delicate and dangerous. Her aunt was another change again. Her aunt was going with her, and in the end, you see the title called Harrington Town, a Glad Town, and that's how the film ended. Now, they could have easily, I can safely say they could have easily made a sequel to this, a continuing story. They definitely had the resources. After all, there were 2 books. 11 if you count the other books that wasn't written by Eleanor H. Porter. And my only feeling was the reason why they didn't go any farther, and sadly, the reason why you also didn't see a remake of this film, even though there were some that was released, like Channel 13 had done their own version, BBC have done their own version, Disney had done a remake, which I will be doing a review on. This film bombed in the box office. This film was, I believe, cost them $6 million. They didn't even come close to making a third of that when it was came out, and largely because I believe what the director have said and people have said about this movie was the film title probably hurt them. I can see that happening because, from what I understand, many men stood away from that. The girl saw it, the women have saw it, but the man seems to leave it alone. And they just said, you know what, this is too cutesy. I'm not going to get into this film. So I think the title scared them. The title scared them off, and it's understandable. But it did more than that. It pretty much ended the theater run of Pollyanna being in theaters, at least for now. You never know. They may actually come back in theaters in the near future. It all depends who has the property rights. It all depends on who's willing to bring it back up. However, I will say this. The film on television had gotten a huge boost. I said it before. The people who saw this film fell in love with this movie. Men and women, boys and girls who saw this film fell in love with this film. I clicked on this film by accident. I was just turning the dial, seeing what's on television, and boom, here is this movie, Pollyanna, and I caught it in the very beginning when she's talking on. I'm like, this film is interesting, and I just started listening in. The theme that got me really angry, but not to the point where I turned it off. It was just angry because the way the Reverend was feeling. It's like, dude, you're making me very uncomfortable. Is what he done is mean service, and he caught me by surprise. I'm just looking at the guy, and I didn't even see this scene. I didn't see the scene when he introduced him, so I wasn't really prepared for it. And he says, "Death comes unexpectedly." I'm like, what just happened? I mean, my facial expression and Pollyanna's facial expression was almost the same. I said, oh, this guy lost his mind. He really did lose his mind. You see the chandelier shaking, and I'm like, I gotta just lower this thing down for a minute because this guy's scaring me, and chandeliers is scaring me. And when he stopped doing the serving, you could see everybody just walking out with no smile on their face. I said, I can't even smile for that. But that really caught me into this. So I want to know more about this. Ever since then, every time this film came on, or somebody has it on YouTube, which a lot of people do have, I'm going to get my business to watch this, especially on the holiday season. This is a great holiday movie. It's a shame that it didn't do well in the box office. It really is. And it is also kind of funny because when you think of Haley Mills, a lot of people always say that The Parent Trap was her movie. And I can understand why. That she did a lot of stuff in The Parent Trap. She was actually nominated for a lot of awards in The Parent Trap. But this is a movie that she also won an award. She won an Academy Award for this for work. I think it was the Junior Youth Award, which no longer exists in the Academy. But it was an award that was well deserved. She really did a great job with this movie. It's just that this movie, again, it's not even because people say, oh, it's a Christian film. Not really. The book, don't get me wrong, does have Christian theme in it, but this one was more just a typical family film. The next film about Pollyanna, or may I say Polly, which I'll do next week, is more Christian-oriented or gospel-oriented. That should give you a feeling of where I'm going with that one. But this one was just a very wholesome family film, and I really have nothing but high praises for it. Again, I did not know what to come into this film. I turned the channel one day, and it was playing on the Disney's marathon, and I said, okay, well, let's see what you got, and I don't regret it. Every time I see it, I never get bored. I always love seeing the film, and this is, to me, Haley Mills, one of Haley Mills' crowning achievements. And that's all I got to say about that. This is a 4-star film. I recommend you guys. Oh, by the way, the Academy, the award that she got was the Academy Juvenile Award, which no longer exists. But it was well deserved. So that's pretty much all I got to say about this film. This film is something that I think that you should watch with your family. You will not regret it. It's a very safe, wholesome, fun film. It's not one of those films that talks down to the audience, not in the least bit. you're gonna find yourself being surprised, especially if you haven't seen this film before. If you have never seen this film at all, you will not be disappointed. This is one of those better films, and I gotta say I was proud to watch this film when I first saw it in 1996. Now, what about Polly? The other one, the remake that came out in 1989? I will leave that for next week. But until then, this is J77 saying take care, be safe, and I'll talk to you soon.